Hey, what's up, everybody? Court is back in session with your host, Jonathan Mathis, the sports judge. Welcome back to Speaking with Judgment. Dan Hurley's reaction after the loss to Florida has sparked plenty of discussion, a lot of criticism at UConn man basketball coach Dan Hurley. For all of those who are having a go at Hurley after his antics following UConn's loss to Florida, don't try to shame the man for experiencing his emotions. What do we know about Dan Hurley? If you know the history about him and his family, you would know that he's known for his intensity and competitive spirit. I don't think anybody is surprised by this because I think the thing that we know about him is he's had his share of headline making comments. And now, in the aftermath of the Huskies' loss to Florida, Hurley's post game remarks ignited a firestorm. The backlash stems from Hurley's fiery outbursts as he exited the court. Smile, coach, you're on candid camera. A moment caught on camera quickly circulated. Hurley was heard telling Baylor staff that he hoped they don't bleep you like they bleeped us, in an apparent frustration with the officiating. So everyone is coming down hard on Hurley, calling him a sore loser. I wouldn't go as far to say he's a sore loser. I'm not sure that he meant to piss off people. I just think he's passionate and overzealous, overloaded with passion. I think UConn was a good story last season. They had a nice run. All things come to an end. Hurley is, if UConn was nearly as good as they were a year ago and defended their title to three-peat, Hurley would have been all time. That would have been a documentary. The way it ended, a second round exit, Hurley reacted in a way that he probably shouldn't have. By the time the game was over, he was frustrated. His body language showed he was legitimately dissatisfied with the officiating. I understand his frustration, but there are clearly much smarter ways to handle that. I don't want to say he was classless. I don't think that's fair to say, but he obviously could have gone about it another way. The raw emotion of competitiveness, the raw emotion of competition walking off the court. I don't feel the way a lot of you feel about him. He's not a sore loser. I'm okay with him showing his emotions. We don't need to go hard on him or bash him. He has that fighting spirit. College basketball needs more Dan Hurleys. I like his passion. I like his mindset. And I know sometimes our emotions can get the best of us. It happens to me all the time. And Hurley doesn't like losing. Well, who does like losing? I haven't met a person who says they like to lose. Like the way we are portraying him, I don't know if we think he's a good sport. I don't see it that way. I think he's just a guy who wants to win, and you pour yourself into your team. You've seen the worst and the best of Dan Hurley. This reaction, I don't know if it's a reflection of who he is. It's a game that they lost and he reacted. My favorite thing about him is that he's unapologetically himself, and he's beloved by every single one of his players. And I think more than anything, he was hurting for his players. So to me, he made a poor decision in the heat of the moment. I have to imagine this one hurts because he really wanted that three-peat. And it hurts even more because the last 2 years, your team was on the mountaintop, and to see it now, to see it all end the way that it did, that hurts. He wanted to do something no other coach has ever done since Coach John Wooden. For 2 years, all they did was win basketball games. And I get it. And I know there's probably a motive. You gotta do it because you want people to view you as this great coach. His players love him and he loves his players. And we know he wanted to get that three-peat. They had an incredible run. Unfortunately, it won't happen for them this year. When you are as passionate as Dan Hurley, you will have intense feelings and emotions. And I don't know why people are making such a big fuss about the way he's acted publicly after a heartbreaking loss. And now you folks expressing outrage over his actions. They're saying he comes off as an entitled prick. You're saying he's a crybaby, an adult toddler. The fact that he had a total meltdown and cried because he didn't get his way, he's getting backlash for it. Keep in mind, we live in a world where, a man can't show his emotions. If he shows his emotions, it is a sign of weakness. I thought he could have handled this in a more professional manner, right? He could have handled this more professionally because you want to set good examples for your players. You don't want your players to feel the way that he felt. Oh, it's the refs that cost us the game. You don't want your players to have that same mindset. Well, it's the refs' fault. It was poor officiating. That's why we lost. You want your players to take full accountability for a loss. If you lose, you lose. Move on. You 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 bounce back next season. You try it again next season. I think there was another way that Dan Hurley could have handled this, obviously. But again, you know, he felt the way he felt in that moment, and he expressed his feelings. And I mean, it happens. We all get that way, right? We all feel a certain way if things don't go our way. And that's what we got from Dan Hurley, and we got the worst of Dan Hurley. But I think we were so used to seeing the best of Dan Hurley that now that we see the worst of him, we're like, oh my God, this guy is immature. He's acting spoiled rotten. He's showing a different side of himself that we never seen. And I mean, that's just going to happen. That's the nature of the game. That's how it happened. And, unfortunately, UConn came up short. And UConn had Florida, right? They had a chance to beat Florida. Cold shooting down the stretch. If you're Dan Hurley, the poor officiating. I mean, there's layers to it. But, in the end, it was a nice run for UConn. Dan Hurley has proven himself. He is a two-time champion. And with the class that he has coming and with everything that UConn has going for itself, I can't see a world where UConn is not, competing next year for a national title. They will definitely be back. And Dan Hurley will have them playing top level basketball as long as he's the head coach there. It just wasn't their year. Unfortunately, it just wasn't their time to shine. But they will be a powerhouse school for a very long time as long as Dan Hurley is there. Look, he's making $8 million a year. He's a professional head coach. He's done a terrific job with that program. So I can't see them not being in contention. year after year and going deep into the tournament and, getting to the Elite Eight, getting to the Final Four, winning national championships. It's going to happen, but it just wasn't their year this year. They played a very good Florida team who I picked to win the whole thing. And, I think we're making this a bigger story than what it is. We can brush it aside and, we could move on from this. Darren Hurley is who he is. He's a New Jersey native. He takes great pride in what he does. And he is very passionate about the game of basketball. And that's what you saw there. But guys, I'm going to wrap this up now. Thanks for checking out the content. Really appreciate the love and support. You guys are awesome. Without you guys, none of this is possible. You guys can find me on various platforms. You guys can find me on TikTok, the Sports Judge 85. Check me out on Instagram. Make sure you like and follow Sports Judge 85. You guys can also like and follow my fan page on Facebook. Type in the Sports Judge and my page should pop up. But guys, I'm getting out of here now. If you guys like all my content, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button so you guys can see upcoming content. There's a lot to talk about in sports right now. There's a lot happening. So I will be delivering some of the best sports content out there. And you guys are in the right place. But guys, you guys have a great night. Take care. And thanks for checking out the video. Really appreciate the love and support. See you guys next time. Take care.